Oilers, you got a great offense with Connor McDavid. So I have them sweeping them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you heard my point. The San Francisco Giants have 3 more in the 2010s than the Rangers have in their entire history. So, yeah.
It's hard to get back and to get back-to-back wins. And I don't see the Lightning doing it here, so I have them losing to the Hurricanes in 6.
We don't talk about the 2010s because the 2010s had the Astros. And if the Astros didn't happen, the Yankees would have won in 2017.
He was close to Frank Reich, and they want Frank Reich back, so that's what they got. It's their discount Frank Reich.
Kaprizov and the rest of this crew, Jordan Greenway, who doesn't get enough props. He definitely is somebody who needs to be mentioned more.
Hi, this is Julie Dobbs. You're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. And a surprising team, Austin, that sits second in the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, they've been very good this year. I think a big reason of that's Brandon Ingram's health. I don't know how many people really expected him. I played a fantasy basketball league. A guy offered me Brandon Ingram for Miles Bridges, and I said, nope, Brandon Ingram's not going to be healthy. Now, Miles Bridges is still playing really well, so I don't really hate the not taking the trade. But I was wrong about Brandon Ingram not being healthy. Yeah, this has been a very competitive team. They're 13-5 on the year, and they just continue to improve. They're shooting 38% from three, over 50% from the field. They're one of 3 teams that shoot over 50% from the field. They're second in the league in assists per game. They average 30.3 assists per game while not turning over the ball. They're 5th in turnovers. So they've been very good this year. Their starting lineup looks like Quickly. Then at the 2, it's RJ Barrett, then Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. They have some very good bench players in Jamal Shed, who's averaging 4.1 assists off the bench and also shooting 42% from 3. While he's not averaging that many points, he's been a great... Oh, wait. He's averaging 5.7 assists. My bad. 5.7 assists off the bench in 18.8 minutes is pretty impressive. Colin Murray Boyles has also been very good. He's shooting over 50%. Then they have Sandro. I can't pronounce his last name. Starts with an M, who's another young player, 26 years old. I wouldn't know if that's young, but it's definitely not old. Who's averaging 10 points per game, shooting over 40% from 3. Their team is shooting insane. The real players that have been like bad or not up to snuff, they have 3 good bench players, and they have Grady Dick and they have Ochai Agbaji. Dick and Agbaji has been their 2 like worst players. Grady Dick, who out of college was supposed to be this great shooter, and last year I think he shot 35% from 3. This year he's shooting only 32.8%. And then you have Agbaji, another Kansas product. This year he's playing 14 minutes per game. He's played in 12 games. He's only shooting 39.5% from the field and 6.7% from 3, which is atrocious. Jacoby Walter off the bench, though, has been good. So I think if you're going to go, I know you asked this before we recorded, and I'll kind of get into it really quickly. If you're going to go all in, it'd be trading Agbaji and Dick, 2 players that are 22 and 25, and maybe a future pick or 2. But I don't think you trade anyone major. Their starting roster is 28, 24, 26, 25, 30. So there's one player 30 or older, and it's a 30-year-old who just turned 30. I mean, he's 30 years old and 41 days. So most of their players are relatively on the younger side. And while Brandon Ingram is not a young player, I mean, to have a guy that's right now 28 and 84 days old, he's definitely not old. Like, if you can get him healthy for a season, I mean, you're definitely contending because the rest of the team has just played so well. RJ Barrett's still on the right side at 25. He's 25 years old. Then you have Scotty Barnes at 24. And then if you look at their bench, 20-year-old Colin Murray Boyles. Jamal Shed's 23. The other center that we talked about, Sandro, is 26. Jacoby Walter's 21. I mean, most of the players on their team are extremely, extremely young, except for Garrett Temple, which he does not count because he's basically a coach at this point in his career. But they're one of the younger teams in the league. And when you have a team that's one of the younger teams in the league and is 13-5, I definitely think that you prioritize everything to keep this squad together. Maybe this year they're only like a 5 or 6 seed. They fall down a little bit. But looking into the future, as long as you keep Brandon Ingram healthy, I find it very difficult to move off of any of these guys. Maybe you make an improvement at center. Jakob Poeltl's good, but he's not great. But still, in that respect, he's only 30. I mean, you have one player on your team, Kevin, that is over 30 years old. And that's Garrett Temple, who plays 3 minutes a night. It's only played in 3 games. And he's 39, but he doesn't really count. And if you count players that only play, I mean, the only player over 28 is Jakob Poeltl, who plays at least 10 minutes a night. Extremely young roster. I don't know if going all in. I think going all in is trusting your guys. What are your thoughts, kind of?
Yeah, so this is my thoughts because you look at the Raptors, and I want to say they got their former GM was Massage Ujiri, and I believe they parted ways.
Yeah.
And now you have a new guy, and I want to say Masai left in the middle of last season. I think it was before the draft. So after the trade deadline, when they got Brandon Ingram. And the thing that I am curious about is when you look at this, you have Brandon Ingram, you mentioned his health. The Raptors have been a team that have always just tried to flirt with not rebuilding, but being competitive. They've shown moments where they're really competitive. This is by far one of their best years since they won the championship with Kawhi. And I'm curious, how do you approach this season? You mentioned, yes, don't trade any young guys, let them grow. And when they made a lot of trades before the season that got them, well, one trade got them RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, who are key contributors to this team, as Quickly has 15.5 points per game. He's got 6.1 assists. And you also have RJ Barrett, 19.4 points per game. And this is a team that, starting wise, these are guys that have worked out. Scotty Barnes looks to finally be putting it all together as he is averaging 19 points as well. So my question is how do you approach it? Do you just go, okay, we're just going to let them do whatever? Or do you see if you can get another young player into this mix, like for the next 2 to 3 years? Do you go make that trade at the trade deadline to add to it? Or do
I
you
mean,
just like, I want to stick?
if you're gonna make an addition, it'd have to be at the center position. So it'd really be a question, in my opinion, because I'd want to keep Quickly, I'd want to keep Ingram, I'd want to keep Scotty, I'd want to keep RJ Barrett. Do you want to trade Jakob Poeltl and Grady Dick or Jakob Poeltl and Akbaji to make a trade, and then maybe add a pick? And if you do make that decision, who are you trading with? I mean, Mark Williams would have been a good candidate, but now he's on the Suns, and the Suns are playing well, so I don't think they make a move. I mean, I think it's just a question on how much you want to spend on the roster right now and who you really want to go get. I mean, is Jaren Jackson Jr. attainable? Or do you go all in, and go for a guy like AD and just because you know your team's good enough right now and you have a good bench center, so whenever he's not healthy, you have a solid roster. But whenever he is healthy and you're in the playoffs and he's playing, I mean you're more competitive. But again, how much does a guy like that cost?
Yeah, that begs the question. And I do think they have a lot of picks from some of the trades they've had. But is this kind of you see what they're doing and you look at this, okay, this is a building year for us, no matter. Yes, I think the goal is to make it to the playoffs so you can make fringe trades, but do you really want to elevate this team during the season, or do you want to wait till the season's over and kind of see how the whole season played out?
Most of the teams right now that I'm looking at that are not really competitive don't have good centers. I mean, I guess, but it's like I don't think Claxton is an upgrade. I'd say that Jaren Jackson Jr. would be, but right now they're in 10, so that'd be still in a play-in spot. But the Jazz, their only good centers hurt. The Pelicans, they're not going to trade Derek Queen. The Mavs, they have AD. I think AD would be attainable, but you obviously run the risk. But I think AD would be back and healthy eventually, and if you're still trying to contend, I mean, that's really your only move. is to get a guy like that. Like if you're trying to contend this year, AD is the play. I don't think the Clippers would trade Ivica Zubac. Maybe the Kings trade Sabonis whenever he gets healthy. Sabonis is young enough that you could trade for. I guess it'd also be like a Sabonis question, but he's also out 3 to 4 weeks of the meniscus tear. Or he'll be reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. Now he's back in 3 to 4 weeks. The Wizards are not trading Sarr. The Hornets may get rid of Musa Diabate, but I don't think they get rid of Cockburner because he's a rookie. The Pacers do not have a center. The Bucks are 11th in the East, but with Giannis, and Giannis has missed time, I don't think you trade anybody on that team unless you're trying to improve or Giannis getting one out. The Celtics don't have a center besides Neemias Queta, and I don't think Queta's a guy you really would want over Jakob Poeltl. I don't think the Trailblazers are trading Klingon. I don't think you'd want Rudy Gobert. The Warriors don't have a center. The Bulls have Vooch, but I don't know if Vooch is the type of center you want. I think the best play is to buy as low as possible on Anthony Davis and see. I would at least call because the Mavs are trying to, I think, build for the future more than they're trying to build for right now. And if you can give up Jakob Poeltl, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, and a pick or two, because you got to think those guys are first-round picks, so and they're young enough that, especially like Grady Dick, he's only 22, right? So that's a relatively young player. And I guess Grady Dick would just be the Klay Thompson replacement eventually. I think that'd be the hope at least is that he could fill in that. Yeah. Like what is Anthony Davis's price right now? Because I think it's the only move you can do because you do have a good backup center. So whenever AD is out, you'll survive. And you have to think when you think playoffs, you can't be. You have to be risky when trading for the playoffs. You have to think like the Mavs going for Kyrie. Like Kyrie's one of the most injury-prone players in the league. The Mavs knew that when going to get him, right? That's why, look, getting AD isn't the problem with the Luka trade, in my opinion. It's trading Luka.
It's trading Luka, yeah.
But AD as a player is a extremely good player, and when he's playing, he's a top 10 player in the league. Like when he is playing and on the court, he's a top 10 player. He's still a top 5 defender. So that the problem is though is that you're trading away a generational player. But if you just look at acquiring AD in a vacuum, it's a good addition for the Raptors because you have a young center at 26 who's played well. Now, whenever AD's out, he's going to have to play more minutes. Maybe you try to get a backup center that you sign or something like that. But if you give away, maybe you don't even trade Jakob Poeltl in that trade. I don't really even know. Maybe you trade the younger center, keep Jakob Poeltl so that you have your starter still. I don't know. But
or you could just give up picks. I think the Mavs would just take picks. Because if you look at their center room,
you'd have to give away money, though, because
of AD's
contract. So I think you'd have to include Poeltl in the deal. I think it'd have to be Poeltl and Dick at least. And I don't know. I mean, I can go into...
Yeah. But I like what you're talking about with Anthony Davis is, yes, he's a good player. The difference is, to me, he's not the type of player that can be that frontline guy, like that number one guy.
I think he can. But you need a really good team around him. And I think the Raptors have like 1A, 1B right now between Scottie and Brandon Ingram. And if you added AD, would AD be the best player on the team? 100%. But you have guys that are already 1A and 1B. Like I guess AD would be the one, but you're 2A. I mean, they have 3 guys averaging 19 points. And another guy that's averaging
a committee.
But you can win with a committee. We've seen it done before.
Yeah. And I think that's why I would be excited to see what the Raptors would look like with AD, specifically at center. And as long as he's healthy for playoffs, that could be a dangerous team. I'm curious, how well are they? I can't find the defensive rankings right now.
They're 6th.
How well? They're 6th. So,
yeah, and that's with Jakob Poeltl averaging 0.5 blocks per game. If you look like just defensive rating, they're 6th in defensive rating and 6th in offensive rating. So whenever AD is healthy, I mean, your defense is one of the top. I mean, Scotty Barnes is an extremely talented defender. Brandon Ingram's not the best defender. He's probably the weakest defender in the starting lineup because you got to keep him healthy. But I would find it okay. Let's be delusional for a second, okay, and say AD gets traded there. Would it not be ironic if they went on a run? Let's say they don't win it. Let's say they just go to the finals because the East is so open right now that I could see any good team making out of the East. Let's say they make it out of the East. Would it not be crazy that the two best players from the Pelicans over the last decade
Oh yeah,
are in the
that
finals?
would be. Yeah, that would be
I mean,
funny.
I
Yeah.
guess you could argue Zion, but I think Brandon Ingram has been better in New Orleans than Zion because Zion's been hurt for so long.
Yes.
There's definitely a conversation there, but at least two of the top three players in the Pelicans' history, right? Because the Pelicans haven't existed that long before they were just a different team, right? They were the New Orleans Hornets, but we're just talking about them as the Pelicans. Two of the best teams in their history, or two of the best players in their history, are in a title. I mean, you obviously have Drew Holiday as well. That was good for them, but he's not really a comparable player to those two in terms of effect. But yeah, I do think it'd be interesting. I think any team in the East can just decide I want to buy in, and I think I'd get it because it is so easy to contend in the East right now.
Mhm. And you don't know what the Celtics are going to look like next year. So it could kind of that window in the East could close.
Yeah.
So it adds for more interesting discussions of what do the Raptors do. You're in a wide open East. If you make it to the finals, you never know what can happen. So they might lose to the Thunder if the Thunder make it, and there are some great teams in the West, but just getting to the finals, you have a chance. So do you go all in? Do you make a move like trading for Anthony Davis, which would limit your future options? But if you can keep a lot of your young guys and just trade Jakob Poeltl and Grady Dick and a pick or two, then I think that would be really exciting to see what that team looks like and what they do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty interesting. I don't know necessarily if it would work, but I mean, for money reasons, it'd work. And I mean, the most realistic trade I can make, and this is not regarding picks, so don't talk about the picks that are in it. Just the players. It'd be Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy for quickly Jakob Poeltl and Ochai Agbaji. And you can flip up Agbaji or Dick. So if you want to put Dick instead of Agbaji, that's fine. Let's see, would that still work? I think it would because their money is pretty. Actually, it wouldn't work.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, would. Okay, so we can just say that Anthony Davis and Jaden Hardy for Emmanuel Quickly, Jakob Poeltl, and Grady Dick. You get Hardy, so you have another guard scorer. Jamal Shed is still averaging a lot of points, and you have a point guard or two. Whether or not you want to trade quickly to buy all in, that's a question you can ask. But I think that's I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it or not. I mean, the East is so open. The Eastern Conference standings are Pistons, Raptors, Heat, Cavs, Knicks, Hawks, 76ers, Magic, Bulls, Celtics. That's the top 10. Those are all the teams above 500. The Pistons, I did think were going to be good this year. I think I had them as the third best team in the East, but I'd still not call them like a clear title or NBA Finals candidate, like a clear like front runner to be the representative from the East. I don't think there is one. The Cavs I thought would be better. The Knicks I definitely thought would be better. The Heat still don't have Hero back. We'll have to see how that roster looks with Hero back. I think he returned actually yesterday, but we still have not seen much time with him. The East is so open that if you wanted to make a trade like that, I don't think it's stupid.
I would think it would be interesting. I think you would try to keep quickly because they're lacking guards, but it is a discussion of like, okay, if we can get Anthony Davis, what do you trade?
I mean, if you didn't want it to be quickly, I mean, the only one would have to be RJ Barrett.
Okay. So I guess you have
Now,
to give up.
but the Mavs have to give up more contracts, so they would probably, let's see, would this work?
And I don't know if the Raptors do that trade if they have to give up RJ Barrett or quickly. Because that's what is really making this team so good is Barrett and quickly along with Ingram and Scotty Barnes. Just that being their starting, four of those guys being in the starting five, I think is a huge factor in them playing so well right now in the East.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. Yeah, the best I can get now is it had to be Anthony Davis and Brandon Williams for RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and Grady Dick.
Yeah. Interesting. So, yeah. I don't know what you do if you're the Raptors. Do you go all in, try to trade for Anthony Davis, or do you just kind of see what the season does and wait till the trade deadline?
Because of all the injuries there are in the East, this is not a normal year. And I think that NBA fans need to recognize that because I know that the coaches do. I know that GMs in the East do. Halliburton's hurt. We don't know how the Celtics are going to look. There's a lot of question marks regarding a lot of these teams. And if you get to the finals, you can win it. I know it doesn't seem like you can, but it's one series. Like any team could win, not any team, but you know my point. Like if you get into the playoffs,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
in the finals, like at that point you can win it. I don't think anybody thought that the Pacers were going to have a competitive series with the Thunder, but they were literally tied until Halliburton got hurt, right? It's 3-3 series and a tie game in game 7 until Halliburton gets hurt. So I do think buying in this season makes sense. But it's a very high risk, high reward because if you miss, if you get out before the finals, I think fans are going to be very questioning of your behavior. And you don't want to jump the gun too early. But I think closer to the trade deadline, if they're still second in the East come January, early January, I do think we're having a serious conversation regarding what moves they make. Because I think that they would benefit greatly from having a true center, a true defensive center, and or just center in general. Jakob Poeltl is good. You can win with Jakob Poeltl, but not. I don't think you can win a title with this roster because I don't think you have enough upside at the center position. Now, whether you trade for Sabonis or trade for Anthony Davis or trade for anybody else, I think is wait to be seen. I mean, there's still a lot of guys. I don't know what happens with Giannis. I still don't know what happens with a lot of these guys, but I think it makes sense to buy in this year. I think that's why Giannis wants to stay with the Bucks right now. Is he knows he's just got to get to the playoffs and to make something happen there because the East is so open.
Yeah, it's a good point of kind of not shaking up the East too much because it is so wide open for a superstar like Giannis. From a team from the Raptors perspective, you'll have to see what they do, but it is exciting to see how they are back on top of the East currently and how long it lasts.
Yep.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.